Hi, Laura. Thank you so much for coming on our show today. We are so excited to have you here for this conversation. This is a topic that's super new to us, and I think it's going to be new to our listeners as well. And so we have so many questions for you. And, Stephanie and I are both doing this endurance challenge in like 3 weeks. Well, it'll be past by the time this episode airs, but we're even thinking maybe the frequencies, which is what we're going to be talking about today, can help us with some of our mental thought processes while we're getting ready for this challenge and maybe even while we're doing the challenge. But anyway, we think your work is going to really resonate with our listeners, and we just love the work that you're doing in the world and so appreciate you coming on our show today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here and talk about all things frequencies. Yes, I think the frequencies can definitely help you guys' endurance challenge you're doing, and I can explain more on why I think that when we get into it.
That is amazing. And before we dive into our conversation, we would love to hear from you. If you had no time constraints and no financial constraints, how would you spend your day to day?
Oh, wow. That's a great question. I would probably still be in my pajamas.
We haven't had that before. Nobody has said that.
No.
I would either be snuggling on the couch with I have a 3-year-old. I would be snuggling on the couch watching cartoons in our pajamas, still drinking my coffee. No, I would probably, I like to get up early, honestly, no matter what I'm doing, work, not work. I just enjoy getting up early to have that time to myself before the rest of the house wakes up. And going to the gym at 10 a.m. is like my favorite thing to do, not having to work out so early, but being able to go in the middle of the day. I love that. Having lunch with a friend, that would be great. Maybe shopping. I don't get to do that very often. Yeah, I think I was actually talking to my husband about this the other day. I think the most important thing that money can't buy, well, I guess it can in a sense, but is time. And so just having your time back in your day to like do what you want to do and not what you have to do. That's what I would be doing. I would be doing what I want to do and not what I have to do.
Okay, it's so funny because we had an interview before yours, and her response was also time in a slightly different way, but you're 100% right. And it's that quality time, because that's like pretty much my top love language is quality time. So I can
relate.
I can appreciate wanting more time.
I feel like that's a whole other conversation that we may need to dive into, Stephanie, because clearly there's a trend here.
Yes.
Yeah. Well,
I agree.
Me and my husband have talked about this over the years with our company, Soaak. My husband is also the co-founder and CEO of Soaak. And this has been a passion project for us from the start. We had other businesses. My husband's been retired several times actually before. And so for us, this is a passion project. This is something that we are very passionate about, and we do it because we're passionate about it and it's very effective for people, not necessarily because we need the money kind of thing. And so it puts us in a unique position of we don't have to do it, but we choose to do it. And so that's why it's like the question you asked me, it is about time, because I could stop and I could have my time back, but I choose to do things. I choose to continue to do this because I want to. And so it's that balance of knowing I could at any point do the day that I want to do, but I'm not quite ready for that yet. I want to finish out the project that I feel like I've been mandated to do. And then I will at some point have my time back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, the key that you said is doing things that you want to do, not that you should do.
Right.
And I totally agree, Marnie. This is a whole nother really important topic for another conversation.
For sure. Because we do have to do things, we have to do. And if you're lucky, you're doing things you have to do, but you like them. So in my case, I really love what I have to do. So that's good.
Yeah. Right.
But I'm not at the gym right now or in my pajamas with my child. So
yes. The next best thing you're talking about. Soaak, I guess. So Laura, could you maybe share like some pivotal moments or experiences that you had along your journey? And I know you've done a few different things, and how you ended up today, where you are co-founding this health tech company, getting into technology and digital sound frequencies. yeah, just kind of share a little bit about your journey.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll start from the very beginning. I'll make it very quick. I was actually a hairstylist for 16 years before I got into the health and wellness field. And so that's what I did. I was, I was an honorary therapist is what I say every hairdresser is, and so I was very passionate about listening to people and listening to their issues and trying to help them solve the problems. And in my world at that point, it was more about vanity, which I still love so much. I think when your hair looks good, when your makeup looks good, you feel better. So that it's helpful. And so I was very much into helping women and men, but mostly women, kind of process through what's going on in their life and how can we make you feel better. And so I had a really good friend that was a naturopathic doctor. And she, for probably 2 years, we talked about doing something together. And so finally, I just got to the point where I was ready to jump off a cliff and I was ready to retire from doing hair. I sold my salon that I had, and I jumped wholeheartedly into this holistic wellness space. And so that's when I started. That was before Soaak, but we had an actual clinic, and we had naturopathic doctors and holistic practitioners. We did a lot of different modalities, including frequency therapy. And that's where I got so passionate about frequency therapy, because it worked so well and it was non-invasive and it was a lot less expensive, and just the whole gamut of things. And so that's what led us to create the Soaak app that you see now, so we could digitize the services that we had in clinic. And so that was kind of my introduction into this world and how I got into it. Since then, we've had all kinds of amazing things happen with the company. And that was about almost 10 years ago that I jumped off that cliff and got into the holistic wellness business. And then about four or 5 years ago, we created the Soaak app. So we were in clinic for some odd years, kind of testing all of this stuff before we brought the app to market. So it's been a long road.
Yeah. I mean, what a journey from hairstylist to holistic health.
I know.
And now creating this app in the technology space.
It's one of the biggest questions are like, how did that happen? I'm like, I don't want to say I'm an impulsive person, because I'm not irresponsibly impulsive, but I'm like, I love change, and I was feeling like I needed something different. I felt very, very drawn to this space, the holistic space, because it was a lot more fulfilling than, the vanity space, which again, I love so much. I still love that space, but this was like, this is where I needed to be. And so that's why I hung up my hairstyling gig, and I was like, okay, let's go this route. So.
Well, your hair looks really cute, by the way. I love your style.
I still do my own hair.
It looks really good.
It's getting very hard to do myself, but I'll do it.
But I really want to dive into our topic because it's so unique to me, at least. Can you, talk about what are frequencies and what is frequency therapy like, and how do you describe it?
Yeah. Absolutely. So it's a very similar concept to music. Music is frequency therapy, and just in a different form. It actually has notes, and it's in the key of C or D or E or whatever the note is. So it moves you, and it speaks to your energy body, basically. And so when you listen to a hype song, you get energized to go work out or to go do whatever, dance. You listen to country and western, maybe you get a little depressed, or whatever the mood is for the music. And so it's very similar to where a sound can really change the way that you feel. It can change your chemical composition in the body. It can change the way your mindset is right at that moment. And so frequency therapy is just specific megahertz. So a megahertz is a frequency. So there's trillions of different frequencies in the earth, in the world. And each, the body has a specific frequency. So the heart has a certain frequency. The skin has a certain frequency, emotions have certain frequencies. And so when you listen to, let's say, a hyped song, and it makes you feel happy and you get that energy rush, it actually changes your frequency. And so our Soaak frequencies are very similar in the fact that they are layered frequency. We call them frequency compositions. And so I'll just, for an example, we have a frequency for anti-anxiety. So our anti-anxiety frequency is a frequency composition that's layered with specific single megahertz. So like 532 hertz or 400 or 528 or 432 hertz are specific frequencies that are common and popular. So we have these compositions that are layered with certain frequencies for certain outcomes. So anxiety might be lack of sleep. You might have insomnia, which gives you anxiety. You might have gut issues, which is giving you anxiety. So in clinic, what we did is we took every single thing that could be affecting your anxiety, and we layered frequency compositions to kind of holistically combat that issue. And so that's what the frequency compositions on the Soaak app are. They're specific megahertz that are layered to address a specific issue. So we have depression relief, we have a sleep well frequency, female hormone support, and there's just we have 30 of them. So there's a long list of compositions that were created in clinics specifically for certain outcomes.
So how is that different from music therapy or music?
Okay, so music therapy is using notes, different like the key of A, the key of, whatever the song is tuned to. So they're not using actual frequency, the sound of frequency. They're using musical notes, which is still very effective, but the frequency therapy is actually more effective at speaking to your cells. And so the cell is oscillating at a certain frequency. So if you have a disease or a dis-ease, your cell is not oscillating properly. It's oscillating dysfunctionally, basically. And so the frequency therapy, it encourages your cell to oscillate at that proper frequency, which means there's no dis-ease in the cell. And so I always explain it kind of like a tuning fork. So if you've ever heard of the theory of a tuning fork, let's say you have two tuning forks, one of them you hit it and it's vibrating at its frequency. Well, you can put the other tuning fork right next to it without touching it. And this one eventually will resonate at the same frequency due to sympathetic resonance. So that's how our bodies, so think of your body as a tuning fork and the Soaak frequencies as the other tuning fork. So the Soaak frequencies are encouraging your body to resonate at that healthy frequency. And so when you listen to them enough, your cells get used to the proper oscillation. And so it helps to kind of dissipate any dysregulation going on in the body as far as you having frequencies that aren't healthy.
So cool.
How does that, I'm just like, how do you know which frequency will help with a dysregulation at a cellular level, whether it's stress or anxiety or sleep or, motivation, focus? Like I've been dabbling with some of them in the app.
Yes. So this was the fun part. That was all done in clinic. So all the answers that I can give you for that question, we spent about 4 years in clinic with naturopathic doctors and different types of health practitioners that were versed in frequency therapy. There's a textbook, this thick, from Royal Rife, which is one of the guys. He didn't invent frequency therapy because it's been around since time exists, the beginning of time. But he actually was able to quantify the megahertz, the actual megahertz per body part, or everything in the universe has a frequency. So he actually was able to figure out what frequency goes with what, and there's books about it. And so my practitioners really just dug their heads into studying all of that. And then we had different equipment that we could, do the frequency therapy on. And so we just did a lot of, we just practiced a lot, and on a staff, we would try the frequencies and see how they worked. And some of our clientele would try different frequency therapies. So we got really good at honing in which ones worked the best for which ailments. And then we eventually kind of got them down to the top 30. So it's just a lot of clinical studies that helped us figure out the perfect frequency composition, which we have now.
It's fascinating. Absolutely fascinating.
Well, and so as I was dabbling, like Stephanie, I went through the different ones, and one day I was getting ready to go to bed, but it wasn't, it was a few hours before I was going to go to sleep. So I think it was a sleep one that I did. And I just like, there's within the app, there's like the music version, the nature version, or the tone version.
Right.
And I wasn't sure, like, do you play it loud enough so that's the only thing that you're listening to? Because I had heard you guys talk about how you can like have it going in the background while you're doing something else. So can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. So just overall, the frequency does not have to be loud for you to get the benefits. Your cells will hear it, even if it's on the very lowest volume. You do want to have an output. So like on your phone, you click it to the very number one, like the lowest volume. You want it to be at least number one. You don't want it to be muted because then there's no output. There's no actual frequency resonance coming out of the phone. But you can have it at the lowest volume and your cells still hear it and still get the benefit. So we have, like you said, we have the three options. We have just the original, which is just the raw frequency. We have the nature, and then we have the music version. Every frequency sounds different and they change throughout because they're layered frequency composition. So we might have, 10 different megahertz layered within one frequency composition. And so it might be 2 minutes for one, and then the tone changes, and then it's 2 minutes for another one. So, and some of them are real high pitch, some of them are real low pitch, some of them are more pleasant than others, the raw frequency. So that's why we layered them with the music to make it a little bit more pleasant. But then now we have a dual audio feature. And so you can actually be listening to like the raw frequency, and then you swipe out of the app and you go to, Spotify or your podcast app or whatever else you might want to listen to. And then you can listen to something else while the frequency is playing in the background. And so that's one of my favorite features because I'm all about being efficient.
Yeah, multitasking, I guess.
So yeah, exactly. Just so I understand that right. So like I have the app open on my phone now. So I have it down to a low volume. I put on like high, let's say energy, high vibrations. So I would put on the original one at a low volume and then continue on with our conversation, or I could go into the podcast app and just go.
Yes, exactly. So you can choose any one of the sounds and still play the dual audio, but I always just choose the original because if you're dual audioing it, you're going to be listening to another sound. So you don't want too many types of sounds going on. But yeah, you just swipe right out and go pick the next thing you want to listen to.
And do you only do it one time, like in a day, or do you do like...
I would recommend doing it multiple times in a day.
Like the same one?
It totally depends on what you feel like you need. This is just me personally, and a lot of our users do this, what I'm going to tell you, but I wake up and I'll do like either the anti-anxiety if I wake up feeling a little overwhelmed, or the high energy if I'm like tired. And then later on in the day, I might do the female hormone support, or I might do like the wealth and prosperity or success frequency to like get my mind in a certain place. Later in the day, depending on how I'm feeling, I'll either do the sleep well before I go to bed, or I might do another anti-anxiety, or just depends on my day. So I mix it up because I'm all about, I want to set my intention. I think that's very important when you do the frequency, is to set your intention on what you want the outcome to be and kind of what you're working on, because it's all about self-improvement, right? And so I'm always setting that intention. So some days I might do the wealth and prosperity or the success frequency 3 or 4 times in a day. And that's all I do, because I'm like, this is my day. This is what I'm focusing on today. And then sometimes I'm like, man, I feel like my hormones are out of whack, or I feel anxious, or, whatever. And so I'll mix it up. So it really is, there's no right or wrong way to use the frequencies. It's just based on how you feel about it. I will say we have a whole body detox frequency. You don't want to listen to that one over and over in one day because it works really well. And so I would say do that once a day and make sure you're drinking lots of water, because you might feel a little detoxy. That's really the only one that's like, don't overdo that one. But the rest of them, you can just do them however you want.
So we actually run a detox. Yeah. A 7-day detox.
I saw that on you guys' website. I wanted to talk
that would be
about
an
that.
Interesting.
Yes. That would be amazing to do while they're doing the detox. So they do that once a day. Sure, you're drinking tons of water, and it would be helpful.
And so can you talk a little bit specifically? I have some other questions going back, but just while we're on the topic of the detox, what is this specifically doing? Like our detox is geared towards the liver, but it's really,
Yeah, same.
Flushing toxins out and yep.
Yeah, so it is basically taking a holistic approach to detox. So it is detoxing certain organs like the liver and the lymphatic system, and it's specifically aiding to kind of nourish different organs, but also like emotional. It has some emotional detoxing frequencies in there to kind of help alleviate some depression and anxiety because, coming from in clinic and also studying a lot about energy medicine and the emotional component, so much of disease is actually a mental and emotional issue first, and then it finally manifests someday as a physical ailment that then we can like see and feel. And so we put some of the emotional component into the frequencies too. And so it just helps holistically from top to bottom, the actual physical body as well as the emotional body release things, and it helps support detox pathways.
Okay, that would be a perfect add-on for our.
Your group would love it, and anybody who's done your detoxes before, have them try it with the frequencies and see if it doesn't help release stuff easier and faster, and maybe less negative side effects as a normal detox would.
Yeah, and to the emotional and mental component, like you said, there's so much around food. With emotional eating and learning to eat more intuitive and feeling deprived and all that. And that's going to bring up a lot of that emotional component that is really needed to make like sustainable long-term changes.
It's exactly right. I love that.
Oh, so cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so now I'm just thinking about what my other question was initially. I guess, can you get into a little bit more detail, like how this, and maybe walk us through an example of, you talked about the cells and how your cells are hearing the frequency, and how are the changes actually being made, if you will, and how are people seeing results in their everyday life, whether it's anxiety, I feel like stress and anxiety is a big one for a lot of people, or sleep, maybe one of those examples.
Yeah, absolutely. Those are actually two of our most listened to frequencies: the sleep well, anxiety, depression. Because that's what a lot of people struggle with. And it's not, it's not like people have massive issues. They just get anxious during the day because we live in a world that is now very just constantly bombarded with stuff. And so even your healthiest person can get anxiety, every once in a while. So what happens in the body when the body is not in perfect harmony, which is perfect peace, what happens is your cell is not doing this, is not oscillating at that perfectly healthy frequency. It's like, I'm doing like an 8. It gets real chaotic. And so that's what happens to our actual energy body. And so that's what makes us eventually feel the manifestation of that chaotic energy. We feel it in the form of an emotion or a physical ailment that takes a little bit longer to manifest. So what the frequencies are doing, again, they are encouraging your cells to oscillate properly. It's really simplistic. It's very basic, the mechanism that it's doing, but your cells, when your cells hear it enough, they will eventually oscillate at that proper frequency as well. And so what happens, what the person listening feels is, it's almost like they feel like they took a real big deep breath and breathed out and like feel lighter, or like you took a big drink of water and you're hot and it's like that real refreshing feeling. That's a very common feeling to feel 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes into listening to the frequency. It calms your autonomic nervous system, and your whole body just kind of relaxes. And when you're in a state of relaxation and when you get out of fight or flight, that's when the body can actually heal itself. If you're in constant fight, the body has a hard time healing. And so then the frequencies really encourage that calm peace to the cell. And then the body does what it does on its own to heal. Now, if you add the mindset component and you are open to receiving the healing and the good that's coming your way, and your intention is that, I think that supercharges the results, because our minds are the most powerful thing above everything else. We can think what we want to happen, and it happens. So we're super big on mindset.
Well, and that leads me to one of my questions is, what if somebody, so let's say hypothetically, I played play one of them in the kitchen. My husband's there, my children are there. They don't know what I'm doing, but I have it on. Husband's closed-minded to something like this. I have not discussed this with anyone in my family, by the way. This is all hypothetical. Would he still get the benefits, or is there the mindset component that's needed to have this work, if that makes sense?
But it's both, but he will still get the benefits. For sure. It's like you can have somebody that is very closed-minded and this isn't going to work. This isn't going to work. And it doesn't work for them because they are really adamant that it's not going to work.
I wouldn't say like skeptical. Maybe is a better word.
Yes. I think 9 times out of 10, even if they are the most skeptical, it still has good benefits because it's bypassing their mind and it's talking to their cells, and their cells are listening. If the mind is overpowering at the same time saying, cells don't listen, that really doesn't feel like that. But your mind is super powerful. So if you're in a real cranky mood, it might even stir stuff up and make you feel even more like agitated because it's trying to get all of that out of you, But in a nutshell, it is affecting everybody positive that's in the room. I do that very thing all the time where I'll play it on my Alexa device, or I'll play it while I'm cooking dinner and play the anti-anxiety, and my kids are everywhere and everything kind of calms down. Everybody's getting the effect of it.
Oh, that's a great idea, just to have it when everyone's kind of around in the kitchen, if you will.
That's what I was so excited about when I was in clinic and I started realizing the potential and how well this worked. It's passive. And so when we were in clinic, we actually had to have people come to the clinic and sit down and put on headphones and sit there for 30 minutes and pay $50 a pop. But I was like, man, it doesn't have to be in clinic. It can be, virtual. And so that's where I was like, man, this is passive. This is something they can do while they're doing anything else.
Right.
You can be in IV therapy and doing a frequency treatment. You can be cooking dinner and doing a frequency treatment. So it was like, I'm a busy mom, I'm a busy person, and I don't have the time to work out for an hour and then take a shower and put your makeup on and dry your hair and then do your meditation and then listen to your frequency. It's like, can we do multiple things at once and the same effects? And that's a yes with our frequencies.
So, and you did say, just to clarify, setting an intention and having that positive mindset is going to help accelerate, or maybe, accelerate the benefits that you receive, or just, how you feel. But,
absolutely.
You mentioned meditation, which is something that we know a lot of listeners, know we should be doing more of, but struggle with. Do you recommend for the busy mom, dad, whoever, just person, that you need to do both? Or can this almost, I don't want to say substitute, because I do think there's something very powerful about being quiet in a meditation, but can you receive similar benefits, quieting the mind, and especially with like that stress and anxiety or depression, like you mentioned, by doing using your app versus?
Absolutely. Okay. I'm a huge advocate of meditation and prayer, because I feel like meditation is different than just listening to the frequency therapy. The frequency therapy is, just like I said, it's telling your cells to oscillate at a certain frequency, which is affecting the energy body, which is the subtle body. Meditation is quieting the mind and stilling the mind. And so they're different, but when you're kind of used to meditating, like me, for example, I meditate without the frequencies. I meditate with the frequencies. I like to do like walking meditations where my eyes are open and I'm doing other things. And so it's a state of mind that you get in with meditation. And so sometimes now when I listen to the frequencies and I'm busy, let's say I'm cooking dinner, it can almost throw me into a state of meditation, because it's like, have you guys heard of Pavlov's dog? I think I say that wrong.
Yeah.
Your mind is used to it. Pavlov's. Yeah. Your mind is used to it. And so I can almost go right into that state of a meditative state just by turning on the frequencies, because I'm used to doing that. And so, yes, it's almost like it stills the mind enough for the mind to just, your autonomic nervous system, everything just relaxes. And then that's kind of the key of meditation, is to quiet that mind from all the intrusive thoughts. So the frequencies can do that as well. Now, if you're intent and if you do have your eyes closed and you're meditating while you're listening to the frequencies, you are just in like this energetic bubble that you are intending in that moment, you're creating your reality instead of letting the outside world dictate what your thoughts are. So yeah, it's super powerful. Again, there's no right or wrong, but definitely I encourage people to take some time, even if it's like the first 2 minutes of the frequencies. Take the first 2 minutes, close your eyes, and either just quiet your mind or pray or whatever you do something for yourself. Open your eyes, go about your day, and let the frequencies do the rest while you're doing something else.
It's so interesting. I'm wondering, can you share like a story, like a powerful story of someone that's used this that even you are like, wow, that's so cool.
Yeah. I have some personal stories. I have two actually pretty dramatic stories before we created the app. One is about finances and the other one was about weight loss. My first story, which was my big miracle that I say, when I was in clinic, I had some stuff happen in the clinic. Long story short, I had some people steal stuff from my business, and so it put me at a deficit, and I needed help financially at that point. And so that's when I created. We have 21-day programs on the Soaak app, and so you can do money, you can do your body, you can do my mind. We have a lot of different experts that talk about different things for 21 days. And so I created myself a 21-day program about wealth and prosperity. So I use the wealth and prosperity frequency. I listen to it every day. And I just visualized all my debt being paid off and, having enough money in my bank account to do whatever it was I was supposed to do next and all these things. And so I was very diligent about doing my meditations and my frequencies every day for several months because I was really in a bad spot financially. And so after doing this for several months, I got a phone call from a friend of mine that knew about my clinic. And she said, I have some friends, which I did not know. I have some friends that know about you and want to gift you some money. And I was like, okay, well, that sounds great. Give me the details. And so she said, they'll be getting in touch with you. I don't know, weeks later, felt like years later, I get a call on a Friday night from these people that I didn't know, that I still have never met. And they said, we want to gift you. We just feel like God told us that we need to gift you this money and that you need it. And so it was the exact amount of money that I had been meditating and visualizing, which was $500,000. So it wasn't like a tiny amount. It was a big amount of money. And that Monday, they wired the money to my account. I checked my bank account Monday morning. The $500,000 was there, which paid off all my debt and gave me enough working capital to start the app, which is the Soaak app. So that's like the story of after that happened to me. I did both. I meditated and I prayed because I believe there's a bigger power that's helping us with things. And I did all that. Plus I listened to my frequencies. And so I really put my whole heart and soul into making this like a practice. Like it was almost like, I'm going to try this. I'm going to see if this really works. And if it does, I'm going to scream it from the rooftops. And so after that all happened, my team and my husband and the big team that we have, I'm like, let's go, guys. This is it. This works. It's scientifically proven all over the place that meditation works. It changes things. Like you create your own reality. You have the power over your life, period. End of story. You just have to do it a certain way where it's effective and you have to release your blockages and stuff like that. And when you do, everything good comes to you. You attract the exact frequency that you are, which is that higher vibration. So you're attracting those higher vibratory events into your life in all different shapes and forms. And so that's what happened to me. And so that's one of my big stories.
That's a big story.
Wow.
I'll tell you the other one super quick. I had a baby. And so I had, I think it was 16 pounds that I wanted to lose. And this was after my big money miracle. And so I was like, I'm going to try this. I'm going to try doing the meditation thing and seeing if I can visualize the weight loss instead of actually doing anything about it. So, I mean, I'm an active person, but I didn't do anything different actively or diet wise. I didn't do anything different. I just meditated and visualized my body. And I'm telling you, I lost 16 pounds within 6 weeks. Again,
wow.
very hardcore for an hour every single day. I had my eyes closed and I did the whole meditation, and I did like the exercise enhancement frequency. I did a lot of different frequencies, not one specific, but it was the power of my mind that really affected. I feel like I got really sensitive to my mind and what I was thinking. And I lost 16 pounds within 6 weeks doing that. So it works, but you have to do it. You have to apply yourself, and you have to be open to the change. And it is affecting your subtle energy body, which a lot of people don't understand. We weren't taught that as children. It's a very physical world we live in. And so when you tap into that, you understand how powerful you are. You can change absolutely anything about your life, any situation. There is nothing that is impossible. The only reason it is because we think it is, but it's not. And so I just encourage people to just try something, do an experiment with whatever you need help with.
Well, so we're doing this big endurance event that we're both really nervous about. It's hiking 29,000 feet up a mountain. So we're hiking a mountain 15 times in 36 hours, which is the equivalent of Everest. And it's probably going to be like the hardest physical challenge that I've ever done for sure. I'm guessing Stephanie as well.
100%.
We've been training for 20 weeks. Well, 17 weeks. And we have been told over and over again by our coaches that mindset is like a huge part of how you get through this. And so if you have any recommendations or suggestions for us on how to use your app Soaak while we're training, that would be amazing.
Or even on the mountain. We're going to be with 250 other people.
But
will you have your phones?
Yeah, we'll have access to,
I don't know how long they'll we have to figure that out, the whole battery, but yes, we will have
I
our
got
phones.
a battery.
If you do, make sure you can download the frequency. So if you don't have internet connection,
I saw that.
Listen. So make sure to download the frequencies while for your trip. I would do definitely the exercise enhancement, anything like success, even that mindset type frequency, success, the wealth and prosperity, you're prospering in what you're doing. I would definitely cycle through some of the frequencies while you're doing it. This would be what I would do if I were you guys. After you do your training, like on a daily basis, I would go home for however long you have, even if it's 5 minutes or 30 minutes. And I would visualize that 36 hours. I would walk yourself through it in your mind, and every single step you take is a success. You do it with flying colors. You don't get tired. Like your mindset is pumped. You finish first, even though that's not the goal, but like you are capable. And so run yourself through that 36-hour scenario, coming out like, oh, that was super fun. I did great. And you will, if that is what you continue to create in your reality. So that would be my advice, is just visualize a perfect experience for yourself.
And so you're saying do that with the frequencies, like after we train, I get that. So should we have one of the frequencies going on in the background and then also visualize while we're doing it, right?
If it were me, I'd be doing the success frequency, because it's like, you want this to be a success.
Yes.
If you feel led to do a different frequency, do whatever you want. But I would just do the success frequency and visualize the full 36 hours. Like really take the time to be like, I'm waking up, I'm feeling good, I'm having a lot of energy, I'm walking up the mountain. Really take yourself through that several times. And then when you're actually in the process of doing it, I feel like the load will feel lighter. So you're like, I've done this before.
Yeah,
I've already done this. It's already been completed.
So, and I have a segue question into that.
Yeah.
Do you think, so people feel pain, right? Like they feel pain when something's off in the body. Is there a way to train your brain not to feel pain with these frequencies?
Yes. And it, I will say doesn't have anything to do with the frequencies. It's the mind. So you only feel pain because your mind is telling you there's pain. So I've read so many books. There's A Course in Miracles is one of my favorite book series. They talk about this a lot, where pain is only in the mind. it's not actually in the body, it's in the mind, and the mind is what creates the body. And so if in the middle of your pain, if you're feeling that pain, the first hurdle is to remind yourself that your mind is creating it, and your mind can take it away to where you don't feel it. I've read lots and lots of books about people and testimonials about people not feeling pain, like their mind can bypass it. There's the guy that I forget his name, but he goes out in the cold. He doesn't feel the cold.
Wim Hof, maybe.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Yes, that's him. Yeah. So
that's what I was thinking when you said that.
Yes. Yeah. So there's lots of proven, experiences of people bypassing the pain. And so if it were me, I would just meditate on, feeling good, like put yourself in a happy place of like one time in your life where you felt a ton of energy, you felt so good, your diet was on point, like whatever you were doing in that time in your life and you felt that high, visualize that while you're feeling pain, and it will switch. It will subside. I'm telling you, the mind is so powerful that the body will fall into a line with what the mind is thinking if that thought is powerful enough. And so, yes, I would definitely try that. When you're training, that's a great time to do it because you're probably hurting while you're training.
But one question I have is, I understand that pain is the body's way, or maybe the mind's way of telling you that you're doing something wrong or whatever. So could that be dangerous if you have a real injury and you're training your mind or your brain not to feel the pain? Does that make sense?
Yeah, that totally makes sense. No, I don't think that we are that well, I don't want to say that we are that powerful. We're totally powerful. I don't think that when the body is trying to warn you that there's something really wrong, I think you listen to your body. So I think it's a matter of being very sensitive to what's going on. Although any master, Jesus and Buddha and all of the masters that have gone before us, they mastered the mind, and so I don't think they felt any pain, even if their physical body, even if you see them and they broke their arm, I think they've got past it. They didn't have to feel it if they didn't want to. And so I don't think that we have to feel pain. We choose to feel pain because we don't know. We weren't taught how to tap into our full potential as humans. And we're still learning. And I think it's an evolution. And hopefully eventually babies will be born and they'll know that they have the authority over that. So it's a yes, no question. If you are not using wisdom, then yeah, go to the doctor, go get something fixed, but if you're using that wisdom and you're tapping in and you're letting your body tell you what's going on, sometimes I feel like it's like the whole frequency thing. When you're resonating at a certain frequency, sometimes things happen to you in life that need to happen because it's the only way you're going to learn how to do something differently. So let's say you get in a car accident or something happens that's kind of tragic and you're in a lot of pain. Sometimes as humans, we need drastic situations to like yank us out of the mindset we're in. And so to feel the pain is actually very necessary because that's the only way it's going to change you. But we want to get past that. And I believe that we can learn through peace and not learn through opposition. But the human experience, typically, we're learning through opposition. And it's a very powerful way to teach us. But the goal is not to have to learn through that. You learn through a peaceful place. So when you're peaceful, it's like wisdom just speaks to you and you understand what you need to do versus having somebody slap you in the face and that's how you learn it, so yeah, I think it's just all in your perspective.
This is so fascinating. So are you almost saying that in certain situations, not like critical acute care, you could use these frequencies instead of certain medications? And maybe it's like the person that's taking Advil or Aleve or something like that on a daily basis with whether it's headaches or joint pain or something like that.
So I have to say you have to consult your doctor for sure.
Of course.
Always ask your doctor, but I will tell you some testimonials that we've had. We had somebody tell us, well, we've had lots of people actually tell us these specific things, but people go to the dentist to where they listen to the frequencies while they're getting their dental procedures and don't feel the pain while they're doing that. They're like the pain, there's a pain support frequency. We've had a lot of dentist testimonials for some reason, because people get a lot of anxiety to go to the dentist. We've had some people in the hospital that are in a lot of pain and the morphine's not working, and they listen to the pain support and it helps the pain subside. Tons of migraine testimonials. People have migraines, they listen to the headache and migraine support, and it goes away. So we've got, hundreds and hundreds of testimonials per frequency for different ailments like that. So I always say, I always, when I have something wrong, I want to try something holistic first. If it doesn't work, I'm happy to go get an Advil. I try not to do a lot of that stuff because I know the liver has to process it, and there's long-term effects from doing a lot of unnatural substances in the body. But so I'm like, let's try frequency first. 9 times out of 10, it works enough where I'm like, I don't feel like I need to try something else. But if it doesn't, I'll definitely take an Advil if I need to.
Yeah.
So how many times do you try a frequency before you know if it works? Like,
honestly, the first one, you'll feel it. If you don't feel a difference from the first 20 minutes that you listen to it, you can continue to listen to it. And the way that it works is our bodies, again, are energy, and we're like onions. And so there's layers of energy on top of, inside of our system. And it can be the base of it can be from your childhood, suppressed trauma, all kinds of stuff that's so buried. And so the frequencies have a tendency to clear that energy body in layers. And so sometimes we'll hear testimonials of, like, let's say somebody uses it for a month and they're like, I feel like I'm on cloud 9. I feel so good. And then they go a little bit deeper the second month, and it's like unleashing some trauma that they need to work through. And they're like, oh man, I'm feeling crazy. Keep working through it. That's when go see a therapist, go get some help, somebody to help you unpack some of that stuff that's in there. The frequencies are just moving around energy. And so you want to be wise with yourself and what you need to help clear trauma, basically emotional trauma that gets stuck. And so
they're not clearing it, they're moving it.
It can clear it, yes. Yeah, because what's happening, again, the cell is oscillating. If it's disease, it's oscillating crazy.
Just gotta go like this and get it out, right?
Yes. Yeah, I do that a lot. I do this.
Yeah. Get out of there.
I know the energy's moving and I need to help it get out of here.
Yeah.
So if the cell then starts oscillating properly, it's like a residual residue, it sometimes it's an energetic residue. That's why I tell people drink lots of water, because it does flush things out of the system. Deep breathing can be super helpful as well. Sunlight helps to dissipate that energy that's stuck. So all things natural can help move everything that's not supposed to be in the body out of the body. So yeah, it's not, the frequencies aren't an end all everything, they don't heal and do everything. You need to use the physical world around you and all the other natural things to kind of help aid the body to get past whatever you're trying to get past.
You mean it's not a magic thing that just fixes everything?
It's
come on.
Pretty magic.
It's pretty magical.
Magical for me.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah. There's no silver bullet here, but yeah.
And I will say that is one thing I feel honored to be able to say this, but I'm not a practitioner. I never was. I had a holistic wellness clinic. I was a hairdresser. I just managed it and I owned it. And so I was always in the shoes of the consumer. I wasn't in the shoes of like the naturopathic doctor or the MD that like I had a certain schooling and I thought about things a certain way. I'm like, no, there isn't a magic bullet. It is everything, and everything does work to a certain extent. Even mainstream medicine works very well, but there's consequences for things that are not natural. With the natural medicine, it works well. Sometimes it doesn't work as fast as mainstream medicine, but it's easier on the body. So it's like, it just depends on where you're coming from, what you believe in, what you feel like for you, what you can afford, all those things. And so, yeah, it takes a little bit of everything, but the mindset is number one. That is what is powerful.
Yes. So you've talked about your app a little bit, Laura, but can you dive in and maybe just talk about the highlights. And I know you have a special offer for our listeners and how they can, sign up for that so that they get to try out
Yes.
a lot of these frequencies that you've talked about today.
Yes. So people will just go to soaak.com. Our app has over 30 different frequency compositions. Again, there's 3 different listening options: nature, original, and music. You can use our dual audio feature, which means you can listen to the Soaak frequencies while you're listening to anything else, a podcast, Pandora, whatever. YouTube, you can listen to anything. You can play it on your Alexa device. It's just super easy to use. We also have 21-day programs and mindful intentions, which are just positive affirmations, basically. So every single day you will get a push notification of a positive affirmation. It's basically just us trying to help you remind yourself that you have the power to create your reality. So say good things. Speak good things, think on good things, and your energy body your frequencies will match that. And so then the 21-day programs are really cool. They're very simple. That you get a push notification every day with a mindful intention that's a specific topic. And then there's what we call a deep dive. So you can read further, maybe a couple paragraphs of, intention around that mindful intention. So then you can get your mindset into whatever the topic is. So they're really simple. The 21-day programs are like 2 to 5 minutes a day for 21 days. So it's just a quick, let's get you on a specific intention for 3 weeks and see if we can get some change happening in that area of your life. So that's the app. It's super easy to use. We have the code for you guys. We have the code Living Well. That gives your audience 30 days for free. We do have a standard 7-day free trial, so your audience will actually get 37 days for free. So it's a great offer.
Yeah.
So just Living Well is the code, but they'll want to make sure and do that on soaak.com on our website. I will say that if you download the app on the Apple Store or the Google Play Store, they will not let us use coupon codes on the app stores. It has to be through the website. So if they want to use the code, go to soaak.com and then just check out through the website.
Well, thank you so much, Laura. And one question we love to ask is, what does the art of living well mean to you?
I love the title so much. I've been on a lot of podcasts, and you guys are one of my favorite titles so far that I've seen. It is an art. It is perfecting. It's like you're perfecting your trade, and your trade is being the best version of yourself, which takes like a daily intent to do that. And so for me, it just encourages me and it inspires me to continue to perfect my art, the art of myself living my best life. So
I love that.
So
the
beautiful.
Art of myself.
Yeah.
Yes.
Perfecting the art of being my best self.
And I think that's so important, like being your best self, which is not anyone else's best self, and not comparing yourself to others. We're all unique human beings here with a purpose and calling that is unique to us.
That's right. And you just have to own it and be confident in that. And again, you'll attract those same things back to you.
Absolutely.
This has been so fun. And I can't wait. I mean, I've been dabbling with the app, but I want to do one of those 21-day challenges and also start incorporating it after our workouts.
Yes.
Which are really going to ramp up.
Let me know how that goes with you guys' training.
Yes,
we will.
Challenge. I'll have you guys in my prayers and sending you all kinds of energy for that, because that's intense, but what a great accomplishment.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
Have a wonderful day.
Right. Thanks. You too.
Bye, Laura.
Bye.
Bye-bye.